This video today is going to be all about troubleshooting problems in the garden. Nobody's immune to problems in the garden, and right in front of me I have 1, 2, 3 big problems that I'd like to tackle today, as well as maybe a couple other minor ones, and hopefully a little bit of planting. So I want to actually bring you in close today and show you the problems I'm experiencing, why I think I'm experiencing them, and how I plan to fix them. The first one right here is pretty easy. These are overwintered peppers. I always kind of do this every year, but this year we had so much rain and it was so chilly that my in-ground overwintered peppers basically died. They drowned, they're not happy, they don't look good. I'll show you what I mean by that. But basically they are coming back to life now, but even so, I think they're just not healthy enough to continue. Now the ones I have in containers look great. They're bouncing back, they're starting to grow. And that's because they were in a container, so they were able to have some drainage and they didn't drown. Now the big bed over here is a whole beast on its own. Previously you saw I had brassicas growing here, and then in the summer I actually had tomatoes. Now the tomatoes ended up being infested with root knot nematode, so I was trying to plant a bunch of brassicas here to help clean it up. I also applied beneficial nematodes, and I also transplanted marigolds, but all the marigolds are now dying. So something's going on here, but we're going to clean this out, broad fork it, prepare it for milpa. Now, the third issue that I see in just this frame is the garlic over here. Now the garlic suffered a similar fate to the peppers over here, and that is that it had so much rain that the leaves sat damp and wet for too long, and they actually developed a fungal disease called garlic rust. Now garlic rust is extremely inconvenient, but yeah, those are just 3 problems right here. There might be a couple others we hit along the way, but let's get started with this pepper bed because I'm sick and tired of looking at this sad row of peppers. It's truly unfortunate that these peppers suffered the way they did because it was a wonderful pepper harvest year, so I'm actually really quite bummed that they didn't make it. What I could have done to save them, which is what I did over at the eggplant, which now that I think about it, maybe we will finish up at, is I should have interplanted things to grow throughout the winter to help soak up some of that extra water, but I just didn't expect there to be that much rain. That was a mistake on my part, and this year I suffered because I couldn't predict that it was gonna rain that much. Now for comparison, there's one of the overwintered peppers in a container. It does have like a tiny little bit of fungal dieback, so what I'm going to do is just come in and kind of clean off any of those extra little dead parts because I don't think they're doing any service to the pepper plant. But that's enough of that guy. Now we need to focus on these. The one I'm most sad about is my Bikini pepper, because this is actually a 2-year-old plant and now it's toast. So that's the biggest loss by far. I'm actually gonna go ahead and opt to pull up roots. Like I said, this is 2 years old, so it actually has quite a root system. But I wanna pull up the roots just so I could see if there's anything obvious that's wrong. One thing I am noticing here is that all these roots are brown, so they're not really alive. Let's check this guy. This also has a lot of really brown roots. So again, I think this is strictly a rain issue. And you could see that on some of them, for example, there's this fungal dieback that just looks really bad. So even though it's starting to leaf out and it is green and alive inside, I just don't really wanna risk the chance of leaving this pepper bed only to find that it's going to succumb to a fungal disease very early. So I'd rather just reset. I have plenty of pepper starts for this year, so I'm not too worried about that. What we're going to also do is go ahead and pull up all of this irrigation. So I'm gonna finish ripping these out, move the irrigation out of the way, and then we'll broad fork it up. If you don't know what a broad fork is, this is it right here. It just makes it really easy to aerate and sort of break up compacted soil. If you don't have a broad fork, which totally reasonable why you wouldn't, then you could always use a digging fork. It does the same thing. All you need to do is poke it into the ground as deep as you could get, pull it back. You're not trying to flip the soil over. You just wanna break it up and let some of that air in. So just in, back, but you don't want to invert, because if you invert it, you're disturbing the soil layers and you're going to get some clay on top. It's going to be really hard to water it in. Now, since I have this broad fork handy here, I'm going to opt to do that because I could do the whole bed in one pass. So I'm going to get in all the way to the bottom because I want a nice deep decompaction. All right, now we got the broad forking done, and I got myself a 10-gallon container of compost here, which is quite heavy from the rain as well. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I actually did a soil test on this bed earlier in this year. I have a video on that as well. But basically this had the lowest organic soil matter content of any other bed. So I'm actually thinking it's okay to add a little bit of compost back in here. The peppers were planted very close together, so they soaked up a lot of nutrients, and it's time to give a little bit of back. Now, what I'm going to be growing here this year is actually tomatoes, because this should be free of the root knot nematodes. I haven't seen any evidence of it compared to that area over there. So let's go ahead and refresh this and move on to the next one. And that's it for this bed. So let's move over to that big one. there I'm actually going to dig a couple test pits and actually physically look at the soil, because I think it might be full of grubs. I can't think of any other reason why those marigolds will just die. So let's go check it out. I'm gonna get started by digging a couple little pits here. So first of all, the soil is extremely wet. I have a grub right here, grub right there. Lots of worms, so that's promising. All right, so actually in that one little test pit, I only found 3 grubs, and I actually think these are the army worms. So these are the ones that will come up and actually eat your seedling and top it off. So now what I'm curious about is if I dig out one of these marigolds, will I find a bunch of these guys there? For now, I'm gonna just go ahead and toss those out of the way, but let's check out one of these marigolds. That was more labor intensive than I remember, but I'm glad I did it. And when I got to the onion row here, you saw that I stopped on the outside and I forked it that way. If I tried to pull the soil up the way I was doing it before, like this, then there was a chance it would have rippled in here and ripped up some of the roots. Now, just a quick note on the onions. They look good, they're growing. Some of them are sizing up a little bit. Starting to look a lot better, and clearing those brassicas out will help give this a lot more sun. So overall, I'm pleased with this, but let's go over to the garlic and look at a really nasty problem that I'm really bummed about. This bed is a little bit bittersweet. I planted this garlic bed out in a video I think I posted last October, if I remember correctly. I was really proud of myself. I was ahead of the curve, maybe a little bit too ahead considering all the rain we had this year. But here's what happened. It basically got so soggy and wet that all of these lower leaves succumbed to rust. Now, rust isn't something that's dangerous. It's a fungal disease that grows on the outside of the leaves. It makes these little orange kind of spots, and they essentially kill back the leaf entirely, and now we can't photosynthesize. The issue is that this can spread to other alliums. It keeps propagating its way up to the new growth. I've actually already trimmed all of those over there pretty heavily, and now I'm already seeing it creep back up. So I think I'm almost at the point, if I had more time today, I'd just pull all of this, and I'm actually tempted to do that, really. But what I will do is my success here, the bittersweetness of it, is I will pull this garlic here. This is a hardneck garlic that I actually vernalized, so I placed it in the fridge for about a month before I planted it, and it's actually the exact same variety as the row of garlic in front of it. Now, this clearly looks like it's done, but wait until you see what's underneath the ground, because I've already harvested a few of these, so my expectations are really high. Let's see if this one delivers. Oh, yeah, it does. So check that out, guys. A absolute whopper of a garlic head there. This is actually only like 4 cloves, and they're all absolutely massive. So yes, the rust did come in and it did affect my garlic, but since I vernalized this, it was able to get growing a lot sooner in the season, and was able to still produce this absolutely incredibly massive head of garlic. So this was a success. I'm going to be doing this every year now moving forward. That is putting my garlic in the refrigerator for about a month before planting it, if it's a hard neck type. The soft neck can go straight in the ground, no fridge required. But this was a success. The rest of the bed, unfortunately, not so much. Let's go ahead and pull one of these other ones so we can do a comparison here. Yeah, so there's nothing there. There's no bulb. It's really quite sad. I'm really bummed about this, honestly. I'm trying to be a good sport about it, but this is still edible. It's now basically green garlic, but I just don't see any chance that this is going to continue to bulb up given the amount of rust that it has and the fact that it keeps spreading. So I'm actually pretty ready to just walk away from this and accept the loss. The good news is that I will be able to put my tomatoes in a little bit earlier than I was expecting, because I was expecting this to be tomato bed, but I was also expecting the garlic to grow until June, but that's obviously not happening. This is all I'm gonna get. So the control that I tried prior to this point was that I came through and I pruned off every leaf like I mentioned, and then I sanitized, threw it all away in the green bin, but it just didn't do it. I could have tried using a fungal kind of spray, but honestly, it's probably in the soil here now, and I can never grow garlic in this bed for at least another couple years. I haven't checked the exact time length, but it's just too risky at this point. Show you these 2 garlic bulbs, but from here, there's just not much more to do. I'm gonna go ahead and move over to the eggplant patch and show you the success of interplanting with an overwintered eggplant. But first, let's go over the sad garlic. If you're new to this channel, I often say I'm gonna go do something and then do something else instead. In this case, I wanted to redeem myself by showing you my front yard garlic. Oddly enough, this is the garlic where I did nothing to it. I didn't soak it, I didn't fertilize it. I just made a trough in the ground, threw the garlic in and buried it. And it looks absolutely wonderful, super healthy, very vibrant. this is gonna be a good harvest. I'm not gonna touch it because I might have rust on me. So now, for real, let's go look at the eggplant. This time I'm not actually lying. The eggplant is here, but you can't see it because it's buried in this insane sea of fava beans. I actually have a plant here that's fallen over. You can see it's fully loaded with fava beans here. And I have ate a few of these. I was shocked by how much work goes into picking and eating fresh lima beans. You have to peel them, remove the bean, boil them, blanch them, peel the bean again. They were good, but man, that was a lot of work. I'm gonna set that aside for a little harvest afterwards. But yeah, let me bring you in and explain exactly what the system is and why it looks the way it does. So this right here is the eggplant. I'm looking a little bit weird right now because the sun is trying to blind me directly. But the idea behind this is that as the fava beans grow, they soak up the water from the winter. They help remove some of that moisture to stop the eggplant from drowning. And at the same time, they are fixing nitrogen. Fava beans, even if you allow them to go to pod, will still fix more nitrogen than they use. So this soil should be quite rich once I harvest these out. And honestly, it's probably time. It's heating up and I don't need any more fava beans that I already have. What I'll do is I'll chop these and drop them as a nice mulch layer. So since I can't really show you that much more in here, I want to show you something interesting that's right over here, which is my kale that I reset because of aphids. Here's the kale in question, and you can see that it looks pretty funny. It doesn't look quite like the other kales around it. That's because I actually stripped off every single leaf that was on it because it was so heavily infested with aphids that I decided to treat it. Now, some people like to treat aphids with a pesticide, something like neem, but honestly, that just doesn't work very well. It's a constant battle of cat and mouse where you're trying to kill every single aphid on there, and if you don't, they reproduce asexually, so there only needs to be one for it to come back, and you better hope you did a perfect job with your insecticide. What I like to do is just remove them entirely by stripping those leaves, blasting it with a hose, and giving it nothing to actually eat. By removing all those leaves, I've actually deprived it of a food source and a habitat. So now the kale is regrowing. It's looking a little bit weird right now, but it will grow just fine and will return as a nice full kale plant. That's my way to deal with aphids without using pesticides. And those are kind of the summary of some of the problems that I've been facing and how I'm actually addressing them. We didn't get to planting. There was just too much and the daylight's running down very quickly. So hopefully you guys learned a couple things along the way, but next time we'll definitely do some planting because man, as you saw, I have a whole lot of empty beds.